are live. Hello, hello, What the fuck is that? Is that AI? Retouch? Really? They have that on live? What the hell is this? Jesus. YouTube. Hello, everybody. We are live. Oh, wait. No, we're not. We are now. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Let me get my Wait. Is this my trusty apron? Do I not have my trusty Healthy Yinzer apron anywhere? I do not. I don't even know actually what happened to that thing. Who the hell knows? But hello, hello. How we doing today on this lovely Food Friday? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. Hello, everyone. Noel, travel, food diary. Ooh, oh wow, what kind of food are you doing? Hello, Debbie. All right, so we got some people in here. How are we doing today? So essentially, what we're going to be doing is making. We're going back to the roots. Something that I can probably eat every single day, and maybe some people can too. But we are making pasta, or we're making sauce, meatballs, all from scratch. But what I want to show you first is this is the pasta we're going to be using. So this is the pasta we're going to be using, the Barilla Pro. I know it's probably backwards, so you're probably looking at it. It's backwards. You can't read backwards. But this is the Barilla protein pasta. And I just want to show you, if you've never actually used some of this protein pasta, 10 grams of protein for per serving. So 2 ounces, 10 grams of protein. You'd be surprised. That is a lot. And to be honest, it tastes really good. Like I totally like it. I think it's really good. It's one of my favorites, to be honest, when it comes down to really pasta in general. Very easy. It's healthier. And for me, as I've gotten older, when I start eating gluten, I end up falling asleep. So this kind of allows us to, well, let's get it over here, allows us to do a little something different. So first things first is when we're making a sauce. Now this is something that's inspired from my grandmother. She, I know, old Italian, is that, and I'm going to go see her so she sees us here today, is that we got to start, just like any other sauce, you got to start with the onions, you got to start with the garlic, and you got to sweat everything together. So the very first thing is you make sure that you get yourself a nice onion, and make sure that we get it all over here. And let me know in the chat, have you ever, how do you make your own sauce? How do you do it? I know mine is a little different. How do you make a sauce? So first things first is I like to get the stove, get the pan a little hot. You don't want it steaming, you don't want it smoking, but you want to get it hot. But when you get this onion, now let me show you. A lot of times when we do this, when you're cutting an onion, people cry, right? I know people always crying when they're cutting an onion, and a lot of times it's because you don't have a sharp knife. So I'm using one of my sharp knives, and essentially I'm using the steel. So I don't know if you have this, or maybe you've seen this, or you're laying around your kitchen, you don't even know what the hell it is. But this is essentially a steel, and what I want you to do is you start it at an angle every time before you're cutting, right? And you have to sit there like this. You have to make sure that you are at an angle, right? So if we start at the angle, we're able to sit there and actually get ourselves, hello everybody on YouTube, what are you saying? I'm getting old. We're always getting old. And so I got my hat on, man. You just see my gray hairs? What are you talking about over there on YouTube? So one thing I want you to do when you get your steel is you head it at an angle, and I want you to do 3 passes, 3 passes. You do 2 passes, 2 passes. 1 pass, 1, call it a day. Make sure, though, you wipe this down because there's a whole bunch of metal shards. And so if you could do this before you start to cut your onions or before you cut your veggies, you'll find out that it makes it a lot easier. Is that a knife sharpener? Yes, that is a steel, a sharpening steel, essentially. So what you would do is how you like to see. I cut the onions in half for the half moon. How much coffee have I consumed? 200 milligrams. Nothing. That was actually in the morning, to be honest. So I like to cut it in half and then take that first layer off, right? So we take that first layer off. Once we're able to take that first layer off, this is when I start to get into the dice. So I know if you might be able to see me over here, but when you cut your onion, your dice and your onion, don't just come straight down on the onion. What I want you to do, let me see if I can show you over here. Hold on, YouTube. Let me get the camera under here so you can see what the hell what I'm talking about. Washing the onion. I'm not gonna wash the onion. Who's gonna wash? Who washes the onion? You might fall because you're on my iPad. There we go. So one thing I want us to think of. Let me get you off of Wi-Fi over here because it keeps. There we go. It's always the worst connect. I swear, I spend, and I say this every time I go live. And I got my knife out, you know, because I get serious. Is every time I go live, whether it be on, for our Food Fridays, whether it's for Sundays, I pay hundreds of dollars a month for my Wi-Fi. And I know a lot of you do too. As soon as you go to use it, it all goes to shit. Why is that? Well, every time we go to use it, it all goes to shit. But when we cut this onion, so all my people who are still with me, is that I want us to score it all the way around. And so when we do this, I want you to think, you go around the onion. So you don't just go straight down. I want you to score this. You're going to cut it in half. And then this is when we dice straight from here. So it makes it nice and easy as long as you have a sharp knife. So if you get a sharp knife, you won't cry. You're able to chop your onions, make it nice and simple. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going to dice a quick one onion all the way down. And then again, using the back end of your knife. I think this is a point that a lot of times when people are cutting stuff, they want to like stab it, right? We're not Freddy Krueger. Use the back end of your knife. That's going to give you a lot more control whenever you are cutting. Therefore, you can actually start to do the things that you want to do and speed up your time in the kitchen, right? That's the main thing. So we're going to speed up our time in the kitchen. I am going to make sure we got our pan nice and warm. And essentially, I don't know, I personally like to, I don't want to say cheat, but I am a cheater because I like using this garlic. Now let me know in the chat, do you use fresh garlic or are you somebody who also likes to use the minced garlic? Because who got time for all that shit? I mean, come on, if they make it in a jar, why not just shake it up, get your tablespoon, off you go. That's my thought. Because in the restaurant, that's one of the things that we always did. We never had, it was never fresh garlic. It was always out of the jar. But you get yourself a good olive oil. And we just want to make a nice couple lugs. We just really want to coat the bottom of, what I need to do is get another camera. I keep saying that. But we want to go ahead and coat the bottom and let that olive oil come up. Where are you from? Pittsburgh alone. We are from Pittsburgh. I got the P right here on the hat, if you can see that. From Pittsburgh, the Pirates. So if you're wondering, Instagram, we're talking to YouTube. YouTube, we got Instagram. We live on both. So we live and doing this together. So I want you to make sure, and the way that I always say is that if the olive oil can move freely in the pan, that's how you know it's time to throw your onions. Now, we're not trying to cook them. Essentially, what we're trying to do is sweat the onions and the garlic. Now, for me, I like to go about a tablespoon. Garlic is one of those things that I find it's like vanilla for me. I measure with the heart. Measure with the heart rather than an actual tablespoon. Why? Because it just I like garlic. Let me know. Are you a garlic? Do you measure your garlic, or do you actually measure your garlic? Using your fingers. What happened to spoons? You know what? I don't even have one. I like using a spoon. I like using my fingers because they're clean, and I wash them off, get them to go. The reason I like that too is because you can actually see it's about 2 tablespoons, roughly, and then you just throw it right in there. Now, honestly, I would just dump it in like this, straight from the jar, but I wanted to show you how much I'm actually using. So that's how we're going to do that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to let that kind of sweat, right? Never measure, always by feeling. Yeah, right, Debbie, right, Jenny? Yeah. So you get the gist, right? We know what it is. You just kind of say that's enough, and off we go. So, but when we do this, one of the secrets, and let me know if you do this for your sauce recipes, is carrots. So I know a lot of times people they'll talk about doing. I know you can't even see this one. Let me move you a little bit here. Let me move this down. There we go. and someone mocks others for using bare hands to eat. What a who the hell says that? So let me get you here. I can't get you. I don't know, that camera's whatever. But I was trying to make it. I was trying to bring it down, but you can't really see. But essentially, when we use the carrots, what we're trying to do, and we're going to add this in a little bit later, is that we break down the acidity of your sauce. So I know a lot of times people like to use sugar. I'm not a sugar type of person. I like to use carrots to kind of break down the acid of the sauce, because, I mean, who's going to put sugar in their damn sauce? Not me. And it shouldn't be any of you guys either. So you could always get matchstick carrots, but we had these from the holiday. But what I want to do is I'm going to cut them in half. And again, this is why you want to use a sharp knife. You cut them in half, and then you cut them in half again, and again. So you end up getting these kind of like these julienne strips. If this makes any sense. And then that's what we're going to use. So I like to use about 4 of these. And we're not going to throw them in right now, per se. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to let the onions and the garlic sweat down a little bit, and then we'll throw these in here. Now, if you're somebody who's like, why the hell would you throw carrots in a sauce? Again, we want to do that to break down the acidity of the sauce, right? Because let me know, do you get heartburn, right? Sometimes you eat a lot of sauce, because let's be real, tomatoes are acid, garlic is acid, onions are acid, right? So we need something to bring down that neutral, and carrots are a good way to do it. People put sugar in there. I don't recommend doing that. Who the hell's going to put... Nobody... if you put sugar in your pasta sauce, that's like Prego or what's that? Ragu. You ever had Ragu? Ragu's fucking nasty. We're not doing Ragu. We're making nice, actual sauce. So now that we have that, we gotta make some meatballs, right? So how do we do the old meatball? So I'm gonna show you a trick. I don't know if you've ever done this before. Oh, my girlfriend doesn't even like when I do this. But what we're gonna do here, let me move these carrots to the side. I'm using 85. I think it's 85-15. Let me get what the hell did I do with my ground beef? So I'm using 85-15. I used to use 93-7. Carrots, didn't know they helped with acidity. Love tomato sauce, but they won't. Right? That's exactly it. Is that tomato sauce would always, as I got older, just hits me in the chest, right? It's like, ooh. Same thing like tacos and other things. But what we're going to use here is 85-15. I used to use the 90-10. I like using more of sirloin meat for my ground beef. But I found that you need some of the fat in the meatballs to actually get the flavor. So that's why I go 85-15, just to give it just a little bit more, a little bit of fat, so we can cook off our meatballs. So way that we do this is I like throwing just one whole thing right into a bowl. I have an egg. We go 1 egg. And I like to use, I realize I probably should have got my ingredients out first, but what are you going to do? Hold on. Let me get my damn ingredients. I got my sauce ingredients out, but I didn't get my meatball ingredients out. And so I'm using this, I guess that's the secret right there. Is that we have some fresh bread. Oh yeah, and I know we had I didn't know we had sugar and sauce is a little odd. I feel like I taste it instantly. So everybody that voted, I don't know if you saw this on my Instagram. So this blackberry mango is the one, and I didn't realize we had so many people that were like seltzer water aficionados in the audience, in the crowd. Everybody in the community was talking about their own specific brand of seltzer water that they like and enjoy, and this one's better than that, and this. I'm like, holy shit. First off, I didn't even know there was that many. That's what's kind of crazy. But we got 1 egg, and now we've been doing these Food Friday streams for, I feel like, over a year now. You should know how to crack your own egg with one hand, right? Maybe you're like, Nick, nope, still can't do it. So I want you to think when you grab an egg, see like this, have two fingers on one end and the thumb right here in the middle, and see this kind of like this ring finger is here off to the side. So if you see this, this is like, it's kind of like you're gripping it, right? So then you smash it, and then by using your middle finger, you're actually making the hole, and then that is, it's almost like kind of like a chopstick, I'd say in a way, right? Is that you're grabbing your thumb and pointer finger to pull it one way, your middle finger and the bottom end of your thumb to pull it another way, and that's how you crack it with one hand. You're like, I still can't do it. That's okay. It took me years. It took me many years to figure out the old single crack. But we did it. We made it. So I got one egg, and again, we're measuring with the heart with some garlic, right? Nice and easy. Measuring with the heart. The way that I like to do this now is, this is an Italian way of doing it, is that we get three slices of fresh bread, a fresh Italian bread. So you get 3 pieces of Italian bread and you break them up, crumbs. And the way that I want you to think of this is when you're making the meatballs. So a lot of times you breadcrumbs, right? Why would you put bread into the meat, right? We want it to stick together. So we're using, we're using Mancini's. We're using the old, and hey, I was gonna make bread, but then I realized I didn't have any time to proof the bread, get the starter. We gotta come up with some different ways, because as you can see, we got that new KitchenAid in the back, and I've come up with so many different recipes I gotta show you. I might as well just turn this into a damn cooking page instead of a health and fitness, but I guess it is. It's always been that way. So we have these breadcrumbs in here, and you can see that they're not totally, they're almost like kind of like crouton size, right? What we do is we add a little bit of milk to it, right? You're going to be like, this is where my girlfriend, she likes using the water. I like using the milk. Essentially what you're doing is you're making soggy milk, soggy bread. And you're mixing this all together. And what this does is it gives the meatballs a better flavor, and it helps them stay softer. So you make basically a little bit, and so when I say a little bit of milk, right, just enough to get this into a kind of like a dough ball consistency. Then I squeeze it, any excess, and then I crumble it into the meatball mixture. So it's 3 slices of bread, and then you're crumbling it into the meatball mixture. Now that is a little secret. Now if it feels too soft, like when you start mixing your meatball, that's whenever you're gonna have to realize that, okay, maybe you add a little bit of breadcrumb or right there just to kind of dry it out a little bit. But then I go pepper, I go oregano, and again, these are not measured, these are kind of like at your discretion, right? I like using a little bit of pepper, a little bit more pepper. I like using some onions, some garlic salt, and we use some Parmesan. And what we want to do here is start to mix this together by hand. And so you're really getting, that's why you want to make sure that you're washing your hands every time. Make sure you're not cross-contaminating. And the real reason is you want to mix it by hand is because you want to incorporate the bread, the dough into the meat, making sure that the egg is also mixing into the meat mixture. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go ahead and break up any of the extra chunks of meat or any of the chunks of bread that you find in there. And essentially, you're going to be able to find, okay, this is a nice way of looking at meatball. So, it's not necessarily meatloaf. Make sure you wash your hands. And what I want you to do is now you have a choice. Now you make the meatballs, you can either, my grandma says she likes to throw them into the sauce. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend browning them a little bit. You want to cook them on the outside, get the grease off, and then throw them. I'm throwing shit all over the place. And then throw them into the sauce. And the reason there is I have something against throwing raw meat into cooked food. This doesn't, as a chef, it doesn't really do it for me. So, as you can see, we have a nice sweat, right? We're not trying to cook them. We're not trying to do anything too crazy. Now that we have our meat mixture, I like to just kind of set it aside and just kind of let it kind of incorporate a little bit. This is when we finish off the rest of our sauce, or start the sauce. Because if you think about it, that is just the base. So I'm using 1 8-ounce can of the fancy tomato sauce. I'm also using 1 28-ounce can of, I guess it's just regular crushed tomatoes. You can really use any type of, really anything, whatever you like. But I just like using the we like using the crushed tomatoes essentially. Make sure I got my can opener somewhere. Where is my can opener? There it is. So, with the can opener, make sure that when you're doing this, you can leave a little bit of space so you don't lose the lid. I think a lot of times, believe it or not, this is opening cans was actually one of the #1 ways people cut themselves in the kitchen. Would you believe that? Was on can openers. It wasn't the knife. It wasn't a knife. It's actually the can opener. And so we have, oh wait, it didn't go all the way through. This is always the worst, right? Because I think this is when most people, it's like, what the hell? I got this old ass can opener. It might be time for an electric one. My damn arthritis. There we go. So this is where most people end up cutting themselves, is trying to open up the can. So what I like to do is leave a little bit open. And so now that we have this sweating, it's beside the sink. And it's always beside the sink. So I like to throw one in and then get a half a can of the water just to get the rest of that sauce. Throw that in there. So then we have our regular small tomato sauce. We open that up, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to throw the whole can in there, but then we're going to add a little bit of water just to kind of clear that can. And when we do this, what I always say is you can always add water in to your sauce, right? If you start adding way too much water at first, what ends up happening is you have a soup. You have tomato soup. Nobody wants tomato soup. You're making a sauce. So make sure that it is that consistency. You do not want to get yourself, when you're making a sauce, and that it's so liquidy, it looks like a soup, and it has to cook for fucking 4 hours before you can even get to it. That's not what we're looking for. So, what I want you to see, and actually I got one more. I got to throw a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. I forgot about you. So then with our tomato paste, and the reason I like doing the tomato paste, you can actually do the tomato paste with the onions. I personally don't like that. I like stirring it in to the sauce. This is the absolute worst fucking can opener I think I've ever had. It just doesn't work? There we go. Yeah. So, it might be the worst can opener of all time. Really, because it's just eating this paper. Oh, it's bent. So, you guys can sit here and watch me struggle using a fucking can opener. But essentially, what I want you to think is don't use this whole thing. Right? Because if you use the whole thing, then it's going to get too thick. And so that's why I like to essentially add half of one of these. which is roughly about 2 tablespoons. And then once you mix that in, then we let it cook down and be able to adjust the water as necessary. So the best part about a sauce is that at this point, you are at your own leisure to add whatever you want with it. So when we look at, let me bring it back here without spilling it. You see how the consistency, right, is kind of saucy, right? It's not soupy, it's saucy. That's what I want you to look at. This is when we, make sure you don't have any paper. If you remember those carrots we were talking about a little bit earlier, is that this is whenever I want you to add those carrots. And the carrots, if you're wondering, they will cook down and you won't even recognize them at all. And so I like to do just another, like a fine dice, and then just another dice over top of them. Make sure you're cleaning off your knife. And I want you to think that is what's going to save yourself from heartburn. Adding some baby carrots to your sauce. So with that being said, it will neutralize the sauce a little bit. So that is going to have you add in the bay leaf. Now, if you remember, and let me know if is this just me? I got called out the other day. Why the hell with bay leaves, right? They're going to put bay leaves in these. Why the hell do they do this? There is no way in hell we're getting a bay leaf out of that. What are we shaking, right? Like, what the hell what are we shaking here? Why don't they just make, they make us open the damn thing up. I'm not saying I'm lazy, but why make it if you know the damn bay leaf is a leaf and you got to pull it out there? Why are you giving it to us in a damn shaker form? This doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. I've always struggled with this, and I've always thought, am I going crazy? Am I actually going fucking crazy? So I throw 2 bay leaves in here. Just make sure that you don't eat the bay leaf, because that essentially is never a good thing. You do never want to eat a bay leaf. So I will let this, and so with the pasta sauce, what you're looking for is to bring it up to a simmer, turn it down, and just, what do they say? Set it and forget it. How we're going to do this now is I want you to think, we got to get our meatballs going. So while that sauce is ready to rock and roll, and we're going to be able to adjust it and come back nice and easy, I want us to start getting ready for our meatball. So with the meatball, how I like to do this was with a little bit of parchment paper. So I set the oven to 325 because you don't want it to like bake. You actually kind of want it to cook a little bit more internally. Is that I like to get some parchment paper, coat that onto a pan, and whenever I'm making the meatballs, essentially what I like to do is use a ice cream scooper just so I could see. And now they're not really uniform, but they're just enough that it makes it easy for me just to roll it up, put it on here, set it, and forget it, right? They're not going to be, I'm not talking, you can make spoon benders. You can make, if you don't know what a spoon bender is, let me show you. The old spoon benders. This is my grandpa. He'd make me or my uncle. He'd make me a meatball and say, all right, I got meatballs in the sauce, and it's this damn big. What am I going to do with this? Put this in the spoon bender, right? Like, what the hell am I? Give yourself arthritis with this. So don't make these damn spoon benders unless you want to. I mean, that's totally up to you. But I'm getting old now. I can't have these damn spoon benders anymore. How's the cool water? How we doing, brother? The ankles, the ankle, right? I think the ankle, right now it's cold in Pittsburgh, and so this ankle is stiff. Honestly, stiffer than it's ever been. And I don't know if it's just the fact that it's, we're 3 years past ankle surgery or what. But how is your ankle doing over there? I haven't seen you in a while. I do range of motion stretches daily. I love that. I love that. Are you following me on Instagram? Cool water. Shameless plug is that I do so many of those exercises that you can be looking at. Doesn't hurt to get an x-ray just to check things out. You know what? I do need a checkup. But if you do need some extra exercises, make sure you slide on over to my Instagram page where we have a ton of stuff if you're looking for range of motion stuff. Also, are you showing up to the yoga classes? And this is for you too over here on YouTube. Did you know, or on Instagram, every Sunday we do a yoga and Pilates class. Yes, you're seeing me make meatballs right now, but I am an exercise physiologist, I am an online coach, and I am a chef. So I was a sous chef for many years of my life. And so, I try to make it a little bit different around here in the on my page. So we do fitness, we do yoga, we do Pilates, I teach you how to cook, I teach you about mindset. Really, can you really ask for anything better, right? So if you're on YouTube, make sure you come over to the Instagram page, and vice versa. If you're on Instagram, make sure you follow me and subscribe on YouTube. 2025, we got a bunch of cool things planned for the community, and I'm excited. I really can't wait. I'm actually going to be quitting my in-person training, believe it or not, to focus fully on the online brand. So look out for more of me in the next 2025. So if you haven't gotten sick of me yet, good, because you're only going to see more. And now, and yeah, right, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you got to do it, right? I think that's, I always looked at my in-person training business and being a personal chef. I mean, I've been doing this for 8 years in the city of Pittsburgh, right? And to be honest, I'm not going to say I don't have fun with it anymore. I have more fun talking with you guys on the internet. And I feel like I could make more impact through the internet rather than doing it in person. That's just my thoughts. So here we are, and we're gonna make it happen. It's a scary thing, but we're gonna try our best, right? That's all we can really do is take messy action and see what happens. And that's a metaphor for anything in life, right? Take messy action, see what happens, because you never know what's on the other side of that action step, right? Could be the complete new change of yourself, could be something that you learn a little bit different about yourself. So we almost had this actually perfect, but I have an extra small meatball over there. So I think that was like 1.5 pounds. Congratulations. Thanks, Jenny. We're still getting ourselves online business really yay and nay over there on YouTube. Yay and nay. It's more, the way that I look at my online business is impact over income. Because yes, you can make income. Yes, we all have to pay our bills. Yes, I got a coaching program, blah, 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 blah. But it's all about the impact that you can make, right? If I can impact 1 or 2 people from my video a day, that's why we do it, right? Because that impact is going to, when you think about the energy, right? You give somebody, you impact somebody, they make a change, then that motivates somebody else to make a change, and then it's the snowball effect, right? And so they'll always remember whoever sparked that interest. And that's actually one of the things too, is everybody who's on here, let me make sure, somebody's texting me. What the hell are you texting me? So we're going to be doing a vision board training. So if you guys are struggling with a vision going into 2025, or maybe you just want to kind of dial in your vision, maybe you just don't know. We're going to be doing one here at the end of the month, so stay tuned for more details, especially if you're on YouTube. I can't give you it day to day. Better be following me on Instagram. But on Instagram, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be doing some vision board stuff at the end of after the holidays, so we can start focusing on ourselves for 2025. So that's going to be awesome. But these are the meatballs. Look at that. I almost had them 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, but 16 because I had a small one. So we are going to put these in the oven for roughly, 15 minutes. And I will let those kind of cook, let those heat up. And I want to show you, you can see we have this starting to steam a little bit, right? This is when I turn it to soup. I give it a stir, making sure you're not burning anything at the bottom. Give it a taste. Tastes like sauce. And you know what? Then we sit there and let that cook. So it's a very simple type of thing. But then you're like, well, Nick, what else? Let me show you something here. So since we got this bread, and I will tell you, I won awards. No, I didn't. I just like it. Sounds good. I won awards for this recipe. But this is a garlic butter recipe that you are going to want to save in your repertoire. I am using 4 tablespoons of butter. So this is 4 tablespoons of butter, and it's very simple. Now, again, I'm measuring with the heart, but I want you to know that it's 4 tablespoons of butter. This is going to be important. So you have this. Make sure that there's no... And my cat absolutely loves butter, so if she starts crowing on me, who knows? You watch out. So it's garlic salt. It's pepper. Where the hell is it? Onion powder. And I have some of this Don Giovanni. But then we do this, then we do a little bit of that. So it's onion powder. On a wire rack, on a sheet pan, should I make meatballs on a wire rack? Interesting. On a sheet pan, should I not? You could, but Jenny, the reason I do them on the parchment paper is is with the grease, like with that extra, with like the fat. I want that cooking into the meatball as well. So when we use the wire rack, we're just like the fat's just dropping. When we're cooking it on the parchment paper, we're letting kind of like those flavors come together. And that's honestly why I like using the 85-15, so that it could get a little bit of that fat, but then I bake it to not only get it browned, but then when we go to add the meatballs to the sauce, there's not all that extra fat and all that extra grease that you're skimming out throughout, like, you know, whenever you're stirring it. So it's just a way to kind of get some flavor and cheat by not essentially adding all that extra grease into your sauce. But you can do it the way that you're talking, right? It's not anything. It's not going to be detrimental, especially if you've already do it your way next time. Okay, you do it my way. But as you can see, what I'm doing here is I got a little bit of oregano. I put a little bit of crushed reds. I got a little bit of garlic salt, and and onion powder. Onion powder and garlic salt are the 2, I think, ingredients that are going to separate garlic butter to a great garlic butter. Onion powder and garlic salt. Make sure you have that. And again, you got to have the garlic, right? And so I do not care. I am putting it in there. And it is about... They actually have a thing in here. It says 1 teaspoon is about 1 clove. So if you think about that, say it's about 2 cloves that I put in here. And that, I just microwave it. 30 seconds or so. Make sure you wash your hands. And the best part is you can have that and set it and forget it and let it go. Radiant, how we doing? I'm always team more flavor, 100%, right? We gotta be team more flavor. You gotta be, especially in this day and age, right? And the thing is like, the flavor is where, the longer you, and that's one thing too, especially with sauce, is the longer you cook it, the more flavor you're gonna get. So that's why I say to start with don't make it as liquidy at first, because you want that sauce to come together. You can always add more liquid, and when you add more liquid, you have more control of the sauce per se, right? So you're not always just sitting there being like, oh my gosh, it's so liquidy, I gotta wait for it for another hour. Oh, no, 2 more hours, 3 more hours, and then next thing you know, your sauce is taking, all day to cook, essentially. But something about this blackberry mango that I'm like obsessed with. Might be one of my new favorites. I think it is my new favorite, to be honest. So, to recap, everything. We did olive oil to cover the bottom of the pan. We did onion and garlic to kind of sweat the onion, get the flavors incorporated into the garlic or into the olive oil. And then I threw the spices. I threw the sauce. What did we use? What the hell? Oh, I got it over here. So I used the crushed tomatoes, 1 can of crushed. We used 2 tablespoons of the paste. And then we used 1 small can, I think I already threw it away, of the tomato sauce. So it's 3 cans. And then we add a little bit of water to clean the can, throw it in there. A little bit of water to clean the sauce, throw it in there. And then, because we know sauce is acidic, because we have acid in there, because we have onions, we have garlic, we have sauce, we have tomatoes, it's acidic. So we tone that down by cutting up some carrots and throwing that in there as well. Now, this is where you can get really, you can go crazy, right? Let's be real. You can go crazy here. Because then you can throw other veggies in there. And then you start making a bolognese. And then next thing you know, you're hiding your veggies. And then if you're trying to feed them to your husband or your kid or your wife or whoever's watching or whoever doesn't want to eat their vegetables, you can sneak it into their diet. It's always a sneaky way of doing it. But essentially, when we're here, this is where I always say is once you start your sauce or once you start sweating your garlic, once you start sweating your onions and you add your first bit of sauce in there, that's whenever you're allowed to make the meatballs. And then everything kind of comes together, right? And it's all something that we want to start and finish in less than, I'd say, half hour, an hour. And so that's where we're at. And you could make sauce. I mean, obviously, you could bake the meatballs until they're done in the oven, 165, and then throw it into the sauce. Actually, speaking of that, let me show you. Do I have it around here? I have this badass thermometer kit. So I want you to look at this. So this is something called a meter. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Let me know if you've seen this. It always blurs everything out. So it's a meter. So this is a wireless Bluetooth. So on Thanksgiving, I made the best damn ham of all time. Was because of this. So this thing comes out, and you can stab it. Like, so say you're making a steak. Like right now, I probably should have showed you. I could put this right now into the meatball, into the oven, and it will let me know what temperature it is on the top of my phone. So I'll never have to actually look. You can just judge it by this. It's cheating. When I say it's cheating, I've been a chef for over a decade. This is cheating, and it's a good cheating. So when you think about if you're ever trying to cook something for a long period of time, find one of these digital like thermometers. It will change the game. Yeah, it did for me. And so one of the things that I actually started incorporating because of this was a pork. So a pork loin. I've always cooked pork, I guess apparently longer than it was supposed to. Pork's not really my favorite thing, but I cooked a pork loin to what it told me on that meter app. It was the damn best pork I've ever had in my life. I was like, wait, so this is what it's supposed to taste like? And the best part is because it really tells you what the temperature actually is. Rather than having us guess it, we open up the oven, we stab it, we let all the air come out, and then we go back in, and then we stab it, and then we're like, why isn't it cooking? So those wireless digital thermometers, a great Christmas gift, a great birthday gift for somebody. I think my girlfriend got that for me for Christmas. So honestly, highly recommended. Use it. No affiliation with them. Everybody always asks me, Nick, when you shout out these brands, are you working with them? I'm not. These are just things that I use. Now, if I ever shout anybody out, any like real brand, you'll know it because they're paying me for it, and I'll let you know it. But they got to be something that we're using, right? If Polar wants to send us a case and wants to be part of the community, they better be giving you guys some free shit because I don't care about it. I hope that it's for you, not for me. That's the only way we're going to work together is if you give the community some free gear, some free resources, some free merch. That's the only way we working with people. So one of the things that I also wanted to show you too was the Barilla protein pasta. Let me know in the chat if you've ever had this. You ever tried this? In the ingredients, it's wheat, durum wheat, lentil flour, pea protein, chickpea flour, barley flour, and spelt flour. Now you might be wondering, Nick, what the fuck does that even mean? Well, let me show you. I think I had some pasta from, So when we look at this pasta over here, what are we looking at? Di Cello. They don't even actually they don't even have an ingredients list on here. Oh, go here to see the ingredients list. What the hell? That doesn't make sense. So yeah, they don't even show you the damn ingredients list. So that's always fun. I never even realized that. So this though is the best, right? And I also want you to realize that all pasta is not created equal. So let me show you, like, what the hell are you talking about now, Nick? So you have pasta like this. You see, this is penne. See how it's got the hole? I'll open this up too. I don't give a shit. And then also see this, how it's got the hole. But the texture is everything. So this, what do you think about this? If you're ever, here's a good rule of thumb. If you're ever using like pasta like this, your sauce is gonna slide right off of it. So that's why for penne, it's good for like baking. It's good for like pasta salads specifically. But something like this, where the cannatelli, see how it's curved like that? It's gonna trap the sauce, so it's gonna stick to the noodle. And so if you're making pasta, like you're making spaghetti, this is something that's really good to make because it sticks to the sauce. So something, it's now we're getting really deep diving into like pasta and cooking. And same thing for like angel hair. That's why angel hair spaghetti sauce, right? It's those noodles because they spin and they're able to connect and grab the sauce. So I always recommend that if you're ever using like penne, do that for like a baked dish. Do that for pasta salads, anything like that. But if you're actually making like a red sauce, do something that has some texture to it so that the sauce can get stuck to the noodle and you're actually eating it. And that's also why we don't make soup. Look at this. See, look at this texture, right? Like, this is sauce texture. This is not soup texture. Now, the thing is, when we go ahead and throw in the meatballs into the sauce, that is going to help thin it out as well. So one of the things that you really have to make sure of is that the meatballs are done. So they've been in there at 325, and I want you to see how these are still raw. So I like to, oh my God, I almost lost them. So I like to flip them. And then now I don't recommend doing this with your bare hands. I have no feeling in my hands from many years of being a chef. So I don't recommend pulling it out of a 350 oven and then grabbing it with your bare hands. But again, like I said, I have no feeling. So what the hell does it matter? Here I am spinning hot ass meatballs right out of the oven. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw it right back in. So that was 6 minutes at 325. And then I flip them for another 6 minutes. And then I'm throwing them right into the sauce. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Yeah, can't beat that. Now, if you have any questions about sauce, about anything in food, anything, holler at me. Let me know. Yeah, don't recommend that. Yep, don't recommend that. So let me scroll back over here. Oh, Mike DiCaprio. I don't know who you are, but I don't even know how to do the request. I got to figure out a way to get people into these live streams. I don't know how to do it. One of my clients asked if we could do a live interview in here. So she's like, I could sit there and talk about how good your program is and talk about all this stuff. I'm like, I don't even know how to get you in here. So one of these days, maybe we'll start getting some people in here, interview. I just don't know. What is it? Let me check. We got a question. No questions yet. Anyone watching can send and see questions here. What the hell is that? How do you send me a question through the, how do you do that? Invite to join. Oh, okay. How do you send a question? No questions yet. Anyone watching can see, I don't know. I have no idea, right? People always ask me, Nick, you seem to have this all figured out. You go live 4 or 5 times a week. I just go live on the phone and on my iPad. And here we are, right? One of these days in 2020, and that's one of the things in 2025, we're going to try to get a little bit, we're going to get some better quality here for you, right? You're going to try to figure it out. Never mind on one hand egg cracking, the new flex, touching the hot ass food with your bare hands. You know, I always got to do something, Jenny, right? It's what my one client just told me this morning. She's like, Nick, you're teaching me these exercises. I go and do them, and I'm like, oh, that's not a problem. That's going to be easy. And then it's the hardest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. She's like, why do you make it look so easy? I'm like, well, I've been doing it for my whole life. But yeah, the new flex is tough, and my hands aren't even burnt too. That's the worst part. I would say it's a flex, but I mean, I just don't even have any. I just don't have any feeling in it. And that was, I mean, this is actually, it's so funny that you even say that. Is that from years, I would say I'm 30, I'll be 35 in April, so make sure you mark down my birthday, April 9th. But I'll be 30, which is fucking crazy to even say that, holy shit. But when we think about that, when I was from 22 to 28, I was a sous chef. I never had hair on my arms. I never had hair on my arms because every time you're cooking over the oven, you're grabbing something, the flames are exposed, it would burn the shit out of your arms, and I had no hair on my arms. This is like the first time I've ever seen hair on my arms ever. And I'm like, wow, is that what it is? I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing. I know a lot of people who work in restaurants or people who work at like bakeries and things like that. They're like, Nick, I have flour everywhere. I have sugar everywhere. People who are sitting all day long, they could see, or if you're on your computer, you can see the numbers, you know, in your head. It's our profession's always, and that's all, honestly, that's why I always say you have to, when you exercise, right? Why does your right hand have a faded color? Oh, my right hand is, it's a tattoo. I don't know if you can see it. It's a tattoo I got when I was 18. It's the city of Pittsburgh. I don't know. You can't really see it because it's a shitty iPad camera. But, yeah. And it's an old-ass tattoo. But no, this is my little... It's actually how I came up with my name, the Healthy Yinzer. Was that I looked down in 2017, knew I wanted to start a business. I looked down at my arm, and I was like, oh, it's a Yinzer tattoo. And then I was thinking health, and then I was like, oh, shit, Healthy Yinzer. Bam, that works. And so it's actually really how I came up with the name. So that is just my tattoo. So good question over there, YouTube. All right. But yeah, I'm going to add a little bit more pepper to this sauce because it's looking like it needs it. And then at the end, we're going to throw some fresh herbs. We're going to throw it on. So make sure you tune into the stories so you can see everything. And make sure that you see our finished product later on tonight. Oh my gosh. So, let me show you real quick why we brown these. So see how there's a little bit of grease? See how it's dripping down? This is what we want. And from here, we add it into the sauce. And now that we have it into the sauce, you got to make sure that you are not stirring it over and over and over again because you will end up making meat sauce, right? And if you make meat sauce, there's no reason for you to sit here and make the meatballs. And again, I just realized that I am still holding on to the damn meatballs straight out of the oven. So yeah, my hands do not have any feeling. Now, I'm not going to try to touch the pan. Don't think I'm touching this damn pan. That ain't happening. But make sure once you throw the meatballs into the sauce, make sure that the sauce does cover. And if it doesn't, which mine actually isn't, let me show you real quick. I'll show you YouTube. Just give me a sec. See how they don't quite cover. So what I'm end up going to do is I'm going to actually throw a little bit of... I need to get some new stands here. Anybody know? Got some good stands? Hey, read comment, bro. Okay, cool. What you got? Let me show you. Oh, I didn't realize it wasn't showing me everything. let me show you this. Boom. See how the meatballs are still... this camera is horrible. I gotta get a new iPad. Now, what comment are you talking about? I got like 100 comments on here. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. If only it would have stayed like that the whole time, you could have saw all my special knife work. Who knows? But, all right, it's not that hard. I could have got away with it. So, one of the things that I do want to leave us on is, because that's going to cook for, oh yeah, let me throw the water in here before I forget. So that's why I still saved, I don't know what the hell you just said. I only know English. So I'm throwing a can of water in there just to cover, and that's it. Would you look at that? Was that less than an hour? It was less than an hour. So we got the meatballs from scratch into the sauce. We got the sauce cooking less than 1 hour. Now look at that. And that's me bullshitting carrying on. Now you could possibly do that. I know you could. You could do that in less than a half hour, I would say. And so make sure you tune into the stories. If you want the recipe, holler at me, let me know. I used to do all these automations, but then we were spending a lot of time on the damn automations. So maybe we'll go back to the automations. But one thing is for sure, that's Food Friday. And every time we do Food Friday, I always want to teach you guys a little something different about food, something about cooking, something about adding, taking away, and seeing what you can come up with. And get yourself some ideas, because that is the whole goal. If we could start to cook at home a little bit more, you'll be surprised on how much better you'll be, healthier going into 2025, because you have control of your own ingredients. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll order out every once in a while, maybe twice a week, to be honest. But if you can cook 5 days out of the week food at your house, you'll be surprised on how much better you'll actually feel. You'll learn a new skill. You'll be able to kind of, have fun with it. And the thing is then you can test out different recipes, right? Maybe you find something you never thought you liked before. And I think that is what's always fun about cooking, is that you're able to test different things, try different modalities, try different things. And maybe it doesn't work, but at least you know for next time and you could try it again, right? And so I encourage you to at least try to start cooking at least 3 to 4 days out of your week. And now this could be something where you cook once on a Saturday, maybe on a Sunday, and you have meal prep for 3 days. That could be perfect. But just start to take control, because I tell you what, nobody else is going to do it unless you do it yourself. So make sure you have the chance, you have the choice to go ahead and take control of your health. And again, I'll make it my shameless plug. If you need help, you know where to go. You reach out. I just launched my Core 5 Blueprint, 5 pillars: flexible dieting, functional fitness, yoga, Pilates, and mindset. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, you want to learn a little bit about yoga, how that can help you, learn a bit about growth mindset, learn about how to actually cook and actually be self-sustainable in your own health journey, holler at me, reach out, and I'll see if I can help. Now, I had a whole bunch of people reach out the last couple of days talking about Nick, and to be honest, I couldn't help a lot of people. You got back surgeries, surgeries, I got to stay in my own lane. However, I do want to let you know that there is somebody out here looking for you. So if you feel that you've been struggling on your own and you just kind of seem to break through, reach out. I'm here to help. And just realize that if you want to try it, you come and you show up every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern for yoga and Pilates. And that can give you at least 1 day of taking over your health. And that's what we're looking for. 1 day, because then, what do I always say? It's either day 1 or 1 day. So if you can make 1 day, guess what? You can make 2 days. Then you can possibly get to 3, and then you can keep going on. So you just got to think, nobody's going to come and save you. The only person that's going to come and save you is yourself. Right? So we got to learn how to cook a little bit better at the house. We got to learn a little bit about yoga. We got to learn a little bit about fitness. We got to learn a little bit about ourselves, our capabilities. And do you do TikTok live? I don't have TikTok, Chrissy. I never do TikTok. Should I? Just another platform. I don't, I've always just stayed on Instagram. I love live streams, so I don't know. I do Instagram live and I do YouTube live. What do you think, Chrissy? Should I venture over to the TikTok realm? I don't even know how to use that. Oh, is that for kids? Like, I have no idea. So if anybody could steer me in the right direction, maybe we should do a TikTok live. But you're over here, right? So we're always on Instagram. I like to keep you on the platform, right? Keep you on the platform, because if I have you going over here to there to here to there to there to there, there they get live stream. Yes, you should live stream on TikTok is really good. Oh, well, Chrissy, maybe I'll look into that for 2025, because 2025 is going to be the year of stepping out of the comfort zone. And this is going to be my motto. So I haven't even told anybody about this yet, because we've been brainstorming it yesterday. New year, new goals. New year, new goals. I want you to think about that. Imprint that into your mind. That's going to be the motto going into 2025. New year, new goals. All that shit that you were trying to do beforehand and this year, New year, new goals. We don't want to sit there and that's why, what do I always say? Your eyes are on the front of your head for a reason. New year, new goals. Oh, I could have done this. I should have done this in May and March and all this other shit. Nah. New year, new goals. If you have to start over, start the fuck over. If it didn't go as well, guess what? Now you learn from it, right? New year, new goals. And that's why, before the year starts, we're doing that big vision board training. So we're all going to get together. We're going to do a vision board. I don't know how we're going to do it. I was thinking maybe you pay a little money and I would send you a thing. But then I'm like, I don't even want to do all that because that sounds like a lot of work. Then I was like, maybe you guys go out and go to Amazon, get your own board. I don't know. We're going to do something, but we're going to do New Year, New Goals, Vision Board training. I think it's at the end of the month, but just stay tuned. Stay tuned to the community. And we got a lot of shit going on, right? We got a lot of shit going on. I don't even know how I'm keeping my head on straight, but that's why I got all the good people in the community to help us do that. And that's something to really consider too, right? Is that we have, if you're not in the broadcast channel, we're doing a 21-day slay where I'm just giving you a simple task to do, just very laissez-faire, no app, no nothing. Here's something to do to keep yourself active, to go on to the new year, or basically to Christmas. And today we're doing 2 rounds of 25 glute bridges. So let me know if you've done it. And essentially when you do your glute bridge, just something, get your butt involved, get your ass involved, get your glutes involved. But that, I can sit here and talk about this all day long. You know that, people. But what I want to do is I actually have to go to my coaching call. Shit, I didn't realize it was 3 o'clock. See, you get me on a tangent. And I only had 200 milligrams of caffeine today. I don't know. I feel like I'm fired up. So I'm fired up today. So what we're going to do is, so I'll see you Sunday. Right? We're going to see you Sunday. Make sure you tune in Sunday, 10 a.m. We're doing yoga and Pilates. And then 7 p.m. we're doing yoga Pilates. And if you need some help jump starting into the next year, into the new year, and you want to learn a little bit about how the Core 5 can help you, holler at me. I love to talk to you about it, and I love to help you out reach your goals, because that's what we want to do for 2025. New you, new goals, new year, new goals. Very simple, very straightforward. Imprint that into your head, because that's what we're going to do. So thanks everybody for tuning in. If you want the actual recipe, tune into my stories and I'll show you the final recipe. I'll show you the final result, and then I'll have a little mini chat attachment to it so that you can get the recipe. So thanks everybody for tuning in. You guys are awesome. This community is great. I can't wait to keep growing and with all of you. So hopefully